Imagine stepping into an arena. 50,000 people screaming your name. Not because you're a hero, but because you're about to fight for your life. Welcome to the brutal world of Roman gladiators. But trust me, it's way deeper than just blood and swords. We all think we know gladiators. Half-naked warriors, swinging swords in slow motion, dramatic music, sand flying everywhere. But the truth, it's wilder, darker, and way more complex than Hollywood ever showed us. Let's rewind. Gladiators weren't just brutes trained to kill. They were celebrities, slaves, rebels, and sometimes even volunteers. Yeah, believe it or not, some free men chose this life. Why? Glory, fame, or maybe they had nothing else to lose. You see, being a gladiator wasn't always a death sentence. In fact, most of them didn't die in the arena. That's a myth. These fights were expensive, like ridiculously expensive. The armor, the training, the food, the medical care. Yes, they had doctors. Why kill off an investment? And these guys trained hard, like elite athlete hard. Gladiator schools, called ludi, were basically ancient UFC camps run by ruthless drill masters called lanisti. Discipline was brutal. Food was high carb to bulk them up. They weren't ripped like in movies, more like human tanks. Now here's something wild. There were different types of gladiators. You weren't just tossed into the arena with a sword and a shrug. You got assigned a class, like Murmillo with a big shield and helmet, or Retiarius. That's the guy with a net and trident. Imagine trying to trap a dude with a net while he's charging at you with a blade. Insane. And the crowd? Oh, the crowd loved the drama. These events weren't just about fighting. They were entertainment. You had hype men, flashy entrances, and even halftime shows. The Roman Colosseum was basically the Super Bowl, but bloodier and with way more political propaganda. Because make no mistake, gladiator games were about power. Emperors used them to win the people's love. Hey, we just raised taxes, but here's a free gladiator show with exotic animals and 20 beheadings. Genius, right? But not everyone cheered. Some Romans saw it for what it was: barbaric, cruel, and corrupt. The philosopher Seneca once said, watching the games made people worse. And the early Christians? They despised it. In fact, one monk, Telemachus, jumped into the arena to stop a fight. He was stoned to death by the crowd, but his death led to the end of the games. Real story. And yet, the gladiator image lives on, bigger than ever. From video games to movies to gym workouts called Gladiator Boot Camp. We're still obsessed. Why? Because there's something timeless about their story. Struggle, survival, defiance. They were thrown into a rigged system and forced to perform, and somehow some of them became legends. Take Spartacus. He wasn't just a rebel, he was a gladiator who escaped the arena, led a massive slave revolt, and nearly shook the Roman Empire to its core. His name still echoes through history, not because he won, but because he fought. Or Flama, the Syrian-born gladiator who won 4 times and was offered freedom but turned it down. He chose to keep fighting. Why? We'll never know for sure. Maybe he loved the glory. Maybe he had nowhere else to go. Or maybe, in that arena, he was somebody. And yes, there were female gladiators too. They were rare, but real, called gladiatrices. They fought at night, under torches, a spectacle within a spectacle. Rome really did put everything on display. But here's the thing nobody talks about. Gladiators weren't just about death. They were about life in its rawest form. Every fight, every cheer, every gasp from the crowd. It was a reminder of how close they were to the edge. Because deep down, and maybe that's what draws us in, we're not just watching the violence. We're watching the will to survive. So next time you hear the word gladiator, don't just think blood and sand. Think stories, struggles, real people caught in an ancient machine, and somehow, some way, turning their pain into glory. And that is the story behind the arena's roar. Cue the fade out, slow echoing chant of a Roman crowd. Thanks for watching. If you felt that rush, hit the like, sub, and join us again here on Ancient Empire Dust, where history hits harder than fiction.